Hi, my name is Chris. I'm 44 years old, I'm married, and I have 2 kids. I'm a certified nutritionist and health researcher. And what I'm about to tell you is deeply personal and incredibly humiliating. It could also make you uncomfortable too, so be warned. But I think it could help you or a loved one who suffers from what's probably the most common health problem on the planet. And it all started when I thought I was going to die in an airplane bathroom 30,000 feet in the air. So I'm coming back from a business trip and I'm running late. I'm in an Uber and I completely underestimated how long it would take me to get from the hotel to the airport, and I'm freaking out. There's all these traffic jams we're running into and it's taking twice as long as it should. My wife had called that morning and said that she and both of our little kids had come down with the flu. They were all violently ill. They need my help, and I need to get home no matter what. So I get to the airport, and it's a madhouse. I mean, there's hardly any place for the Uber to let me out. And I don't know about you, but I just hate these situations. It's just so stressful. I don't like big crowds of people anyway. And to top it off, I don't sleep well in hotel rooms, and I was already hanging by a thread when I got to the airport. And now this. So now I just have to run through this airport. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have got to go. Of course, there's a huge security line, and I'm freaking out through that whole process. And the airplane is literally a mile away from me. It's a massive airport. But I get through security, and then I sprint through the airport. I get to the gate, and they're literally closing the door. And I have to beg this lady. She's just looking at me like, "Who are you? Why are you so late? And what is your problem?" And I beg her, please, I need to go home to see my family, and sweat is just pouring off my face. So she lets me on, and I'm the last one on the plane. Everybody's looking at me as they're walking down the aisle, and I'm sure they're saying, "What's that guy's deal?" I finally get to my seat, and there's somebody in it. I had specifically paid for an exit row seat. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. And there's this guy that I like to think of as Angry Cowboy sitting there. And I say, "Excuse me, I think you're in my seat." And I'm double checking my ticket to make sure I'm not crazy. And get this, he literally says to me, "Well, I was on time and you weren't, and I want to sit next to my wife." And he kind of points over to this gal next to him, and she's just glaring at me. And he says, "Why don't you just sit in my seat?" He points to the seat, and it's a middle seat in the row in front of him. So I'm about to stand my ground and tell this guy, "No, you are in my seat. I paid for this." When I hear from behind me, "Sir, take your seat," as I've never heard anybody shout on an airplane. I turn around, and it's the biggest, meanest flight attendant I've ever seen. She is hell on wheels, and she's slamming the overhead bins as she's stomping towards me. "Just take your seat." And I'm trying to stammer out, "This guy is in my seat," when she says, "Sir, sit down or I'm going to take you off this airplane." And I'm sweating bullets. It's hot as hell in here, and I don't even know what to say to this lady. So I'm like, screw it. Even if I get in my seat, I'm going to have to sit next to Angry Cowboy's wife for 4 hours. I don't really want to do that either. So I have to find a place for my bag. Of course, the overhead bins are just packed to the rafters. So I have to go 10 rows back, find a place for it, and cram my bag in. Finally, I wedge myself into this middle seat. I just can't relax. I can't let my arms down. My shoulders are crunched up into my ears, and it's so hot. And I realize, oh, great, I have 4 more hours of this. So I just feel my temperature rising. My heart's pounding, and my knees are completely wedged against the seat in front of me, and this space is too small. It's too hot. I've got to move somehow. So after what feels like an hour, we're finally in the air. And the second the seatbelt sign goes off, I just bust out of my seat and climb right over the guy next to me. He's completely annoyed with me. I finally get back to the bathroom, and of course, there's one lavatory, and it's occupied. And I can just not cool off. My heart feels like it's going to jump out of my chest. I just want to splash some water on my face. Finally, the lavatory door opens, and this guy comes out. And I rush inside there, lock the door, and the smell just about knocks me over. It's just awful. And now I'm starting to feel sick to my stomach. Then I look up, and I see my face in the mirror. I'm drenched. My shirt is wet. I can see why everybody's staring at me. I look ghostly white. I look like I've been in a horror movie. And I start to get lightheaded. And then my anxiety totally takes over. I start thinking about the stressful run through the airport, that jerk who took my seat, having to sit in that coffin-like middle seat for 4 more hours. My sick wife and kids, all this is swirling through my head at once. And suddenly I realize this bathroom is way, way worse than the middle seat. The walls are closing in on me. My body suddenly gets super cold, and it feels like the plane is doing a barrel roll. I'm spinning. I think I can hear voices outside the door saying, "What's going on in there? What are you doing?" My heart won't slow down. I can't catch my breath. I wonder, is this how I'm going to die? And then, everything goes black. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever felt like you were having a panic attack, or like the world was closing in on you? Like the world was too loud. Everybody's looking at you, everybody's shouting at you. It's just too much. You can't take it anymore. Or maybe it wasn't that extreme. Maybe you just felt overwhelmed. There's so many things that can give us that tight chest, the pounding heart, the shallow breath of anxiety, the ringing phone that makes us cringe. Oh boy, not this again. The customer service person who's just making us angrier. A knock at the door that makes us think, oh, who the hell is that? A demanding boss who's never satisfied. A sick family member whose future is uncertain. A doctor's appointment that's coming up where there could be bad news. That life-changing decision that we just keep putting off. We may not notice it, but it all adds up to make us stressed out, exhausted, and angry. You know, almost everyone feels this way at some point. I bet you do too sometimes. And I want you to know, I know how you feel. In fact, about 284 million people report feeling anxious and stressed out on a regular basis. 3/4 of adults say they get stressed out regularly. And that's why I say it's the number one health problem in the world that we never talk about. It's panic, it's fear, it's anxiousness, nervousness, it's anxiety. It manifests itself in a million ways. It affects our sleep, it affects our job, our relationships, but we just don't talk about it. Well, it's time to start talking about it. Because there's no wonder we feel like this. The world just moves at lightning speed now. With media and technology and transportation, everything is designed to move as fast as possible. And if you can't move that fast, well, you're just going to get run over. That's why Big Pharma sells $25 billion worth of psychotropic drugs. And a few years ago, it was only $2 billion worth. 1 in 6 Americans are taking them. 60 million people are in therapy for anxiety and related problems. We're in the midst of a collective panic attack. And of course, this fear and nervousness leads to all kinds of other problems. Overeating, undereating, poor sleep, drinking problems, drug problems, even suicidal thoughts. Is it any wonder that the suicide rate is climbing in this country for the first time in 30 years? If you've ever felt any of these symptoms, I know how it is. I know how you feel. And I know you feel shame for it too. You feel like a coward or like you don't belong. You feel like you're not good enough for some people. You can't live up to their expectations. You're letting people down. Or you feel angry and upset nearly all the time. I know how that feels, and I know now that there's a solution. There's a way you can feel better. There's a way you can feel confident and calm and happy. It can be done. I've got a solution now, and I know how good it feels, and honestly, it has completely changed my life. Because now I'm not afraid to go to big, noisy gatherings of a lot of people. I'm not afraid of traveling, getting on an airplane, and being crammed into a tiny seat. I happily ignore all the nonsense on social media because I know it's a waste of my time and energy. I'm not afraid of talking to strangers in small talk. I'm not afraid of completely new experiences that I know nothing about. I don't worry about money, the economy, and my family nearly as much as I used to. My sense of adventure is back. My sense of fun is back. And it's all thanks to one little method that changed everything for me. To put it simply, I have peace of mind. And I want to tell you about it today, and I want you to consider it seriously. Because if you're like me, this thing that we've been dealing with, this collective panic attack, has almost ruined our lives. And you know, it's not really your fault. I mean, we're wired to be this way. The reason human beings have survived this long is because we've evolved to have this reaction to stressful situations. When we experience stress and fear and doubt, stress hormones invade our brain and it makes us more alert. They make us hyper. They increase our heart rate so that we can react faster. That's actually helped us survive life or death situations for eons. But in the modern world, We don't have these life or death situations much anymore, but we do have this stimulus that's making those responses happen on a day-to-day and hour-to-hour basis. It's the noise, it's the electronics, it's the information we're receiving, the news we're watching. It's our relationships, it's our families, and it's probably our food, our environment, and the city we live in. All these things are creating these responses in our brains, and they're dumping those stress hormones into our bodies. And more, we're feeling at least a low level of stress and anxiousness all day, every day. Worst of all, it affects how we sleep. I mean, how many times have you not been able to get to sleep because your mind is just spinning, going over and over the same old things? Or maybe you're waking up in the middle of the night and worrying about money, or worrying about your commute, your job, your family, your kids, the economy, whatever it is. It creates these vicious cycles. It starts with you getting out of bed exhausted because you haven't slept. So you take some caffeine, and the caffeine makes you edgy, and you're edgy anyway because you're exhausted. And then everything affects you more. Then you go back to bed the next night, and you just start the whole process over again. And this anxiousness and exhaustion prevents us from being in social situations, right? It just makes us want to stay in the house, close the curtains, and turn on the TV. Then that makes us depressed because we're missing out on life, right? Then when our anxiety really takes hold of us, we develop a fear of the fear. We develop anxiety about anxiety. That is when we really start to spiral. That's what happened to me in that airplane bathroom. But there is a way out. There is hope. It's this stuff that was banned up until last year, and we're just now discovering how powerful it is for all these systems in our body. We're finally seeing a way through this madness where we can be calm, happy, and enjoy life again. I'm going to tell you what it is in just a moment. One of the reasons I'm so excited about it is because it's scientifically proven to work on this feeling of anxiousness, and it's working in some really extreme situations. As you know, many war veterans are coming back to a life of misery. And if you think your life is hard, think about a veteran who comes back from overseas and relives the horrors of war every day, multiple times a day. But this method is working for them. In a clinical setting, it has been shown to help them with their nightmares, to be calmer, to silence their demons, and let them be functional in society again. One study showed that 91% of participants experienced fewer symptoms like nightmares and replaying horrific memories after taking this. These veterans have hope again. In fact, I want to read you a story that I've recently got from a client. I served 2 tours in Iraq, and I was really struggling after I came home. I couldn't sleep because of nightmares, and I couldn't work because I was so edgy and angry. This really helps with moods and anxiety. I didn't expect that, but it does. It is definitely not placebo, and it definitely has a seriously positive effect. I can finally breathe easy. I know how to relieve my anxious moods in minutes. I'm back to work, and I can sleep soundly nearly every night. Thank you. There's another study that shows just how powerful this method is. It was done a few years ago. It's a double-blind, placebo-based study, which is the most powerful kind of study. What they did is they told a group of students who were already high-strung that they were going to have to give a speech in front of their class. As you know, fear of public speaking actually ranks higher than death on the scale of ultimate fears for many people. And so this obviously induced a lot of anxiety with these students. But the group of students who used this method reported at least 53% lower anxiety levels. They had less cognitive impairment, so they were thinking better, and they reported being more comfortable giving their speech. They were actually more focused during their speech, and they were less likely to downgrade their own performance. And the audience rated the students who used this method much, much higher. Basically, this method allowed the subjects to speak in public with confidence and without fear and anxiousness that almost everyone experiences. I mean, we've all been in that situation. When we had to give some kind of speech, it may have been at your friend's wedding, or maybe somebody asked you to say something in front of your church, or maybe you were just giving a toast. And all of a sudden you realize everybody's looking at you, everybody's staring at you, and they're expecting you to say something smart and funny and not stammer. And suddenly your heart's beating and you're sweating and you can't seem to get the words out. We've all been there, and most of us avoid public speaking like the plague for this reason. If it can help in that situation, what do you think you can do in other situations in life? One of the worst situations for me was when I was away from my kids. If they were out of my control, I used to have a deep, deep anxiety that set in I couldn't seem to shake. I just worried about them constantly. I was afraid they were going to get wiped out in a car accident. All of these crazy fears would take over my thoughts. Now that I have this method, I know I can say goodbye to those fears within minutes. They are gone, and a calmness, a happiness takes over. It is so powerful to know that I can do that at any time. I don't fear anymore. I don't have anxiousness about my anxiousness anymore. I don't spiral anymore because I know I have a solution, and now you can have that too. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, let's cut to the chase here. What are we talking about? What I'm talking about is called CBD. Now, you've probably heard about CBD, and you've probably heard some good things, maybe some bad things, but most of all, it's just kind of a mystery. What is this stuff? It specifically comes from the hemp plant, not the plant that produces the big buds that people smoke and get high on. CBD comes from the leaves, the stems, the seeds of hemp plants. It doesn't impair your ability to drive or work, but it does have the ability to calm you down and give you peace. What they found is that CBD actually has a profound effect on brain waves. It increases the alpha waves, which increase creativity and decrease negativity. It also increases theta waves, which help control your deep thinking. If you've ever lost yourself in thought and time just disappears, you were in theta mode. This is what I like to call the flow state, where you can just happily apply yourself to your work without distraction and not worry about time. A calm mind is a happy, productive mind, and CBD can help you get there. CBD acts on all these receptors called CB1 and CB2 throughout the body. CBD stimulates those to bring balance back to the body, so it can slow down stress hormone production and improve brain wave function. CBD stands for cannabidiol, and your body produces its own cannabinoids. There's actually cannabinoids in breast milk. CBD is identical to some of the cannabinoids that your body produces, but the body's ability to produce these cannabinoids slows down as we age. Our ability to really do anything degrades as we age, right? If we supplement these cannabinoids, our body automatically responds to them because it's a natural substance, and we feel the natural effects of cannabinoids with CBD. You could make the case based on this that your body actually needs CBD. It's like a vitamin deficiency. That's why we have to take more supplements as we get older. Our body just can't produce the same things that it could when it was young, and cannabinoids are no different. CBD has this amazing evening out effect, and it really just calms us. That's why a lot of people report that it helps them sleep, because it reduces the anxiousness and calms these violent brain waves that keep us awake. That's why it's so powerful. That's what really changed everything for me. When I found out that CBD could do this and bring peace back to my life, I decided that I needed to help more people feel this way too. This feeling we're all experiencing, this anxiousness, the stress, it's affecting everything we do. I decided I wanted to help people find their calmness and their happiness again. So I dug into it and dedicated several years of my life to researching it. I even got several certifications on how to make CBD safely and effectively. A few years back with my friend Chaz, I started Prosper CBD to address problems just like this. And I recruited my friend, Dr. Ralph LaGuardia, to make sure it's safe and effective. Dr. LaGuardia wrote a best-selling book on natural health remedies called The Bible of Alternative Medicine. He tests our products in his Connecticut clinic and helps us formulate effective, powerful CBD products. Now we're releasing this product so that you can find your peace and find your calmness again. I'd like to offer you peace of mind today with our 1,000 milligram full spectrum CBD formula. With it, I think you'll find that you don't have to fear the fear anymore. You'll know that in any situation, if you have your CBD with you, you can overcome panic. Now when I'm in a hyper-stress situation like that airplane, I know a few drops of this will completely restore my mental peace. And I don't worry about hardly anything anymore. My favorite new saying is, so what? So what if the bad thing happens that I keep thinking about? I'll deal with it if and when it happens. A lot of my clients find that they don't dread the phone ringing anymore. They don't dread a knock on the door. They enjoy going out and seeing their friends again, experiencing new things. They enjoy traveling and new adventures and trying things that they've never tried. They don't have that fear that's held them back for years. and for some of them, decades. They're able to enjoy themselves in situations that before they would have completely avoided. When my clients get in a stressful situation, they take some of our CBD, and in a matter of seconds, the calmness sets in. One client described it like this: "I feel like I just had a massage after taking your CBD." If you've ever had a massage, or if you've ever meditated, or if you've ever just sat in a really comfortable chair and listened to some relaxing music, you know that feeling where you're awake and alert, but you just feel, you feel good. There's a calmness to your mind. Your only thoughts are about what's going on right now, and you can worry about tomorrow. That's an incredibly freeing experience. It's really a superpower when you can master that, when you can live in the now and deal with what's going on now, right now. That's what the yogis and meditation masters seek, right? That's what my clients often report feeling with our CBD. That's what I want to offer you today, the calmness, the happiness, peace of mind. Now, nothing is going to stop you from feeling stressed and agitated at times. Your body is naturally wired that way, and frankly, you need this response for when you run into a truly dangerous situation. But this can be near instant relief when those moments happen and you actually need to be calm. Once you cross this divide that I can handle this and I have this thing to help me deal with anything, you realize that a lot of these things that used to cause fear are actually really exciting. You realize that these challenges that you hated facing before can actually lead to a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity if you look at them right. You'll be the lion on the Serengeti, calm, collected, but ready to pounce. That's a superpower I want to offer you today, and that's what CBD has done for me, and that's what CBD has done for my clients. I want to introduce you to Vicky, whose life has been changed by this. Chris, I'm writing this to you with tears of joy in my eyes. I've been using Prosper CBD oil for 3 weeks, and I've noticed an incredible decrease in anxiety and an increased sense of well-being. I can't believe it was this easy. I wish this had been around during my divorce and my life changes, because now I know I can handle anything that comes my way. Look, it's a cliche, but life is for the living, right? Why just rest in peace when you can live in peace? And if you were like me before I found this, you were just living this sort of half-life, where you went to work, you came home, and you holed up in front of the TV, and you pretended like this is what you wanted. You pretended that this was your dream. When in fact, if you look back when you were young, you wanted to travel, you wanted to experience everything, you wanted to meet people, you wanted to have an impact on your community, you wanted to be known. You wanted to have that big funeral where everybody knew you and loved you. And the fact of the matter is, over the last few years, you've had to pull back from that. You've had to hide. You've had these fears, this nervousness, and god-awful panic at times. This has kept you from living the way you wanted to live. This is a way out. And this is the way you can take control of your feelings again. You're still going to have some feelings that are not good, that you wish would go away, but you're going to be able to take control of those with just a few drops of this CBD formula. Now you can give a toast to your kid's wedding or lead a prayer in front of your church. And you'll know that anytime you're going to get into one of these situations, you know that you can address the anxiety. You can calm yourself down. Our CBD is full spectrum, which has all the cannabinoids that can help give you peace of mind. And it's made from organically grown Colorado hemp. Every bottle has 1,000 milligrams, which means each dropper has a powerful 30 milligram dose of CBD. There's a light mint flavor that you'll barely notice. And we've priced it so that anyone can get relief. So now you need to do one more thing, okay? I'm sure you're feeling a little bit anxious right now. You don't know whether to trust me. You don't know who I am. You just met me a few minutes ago. But if you're going to get through this, you're going to change how you approach your life, and you're going to feel better, to find that happiness again, you've got to take one more step. You've got to try the CBD formula. So the next step is to click the button below. After that, you'll be taken to the secure checkout page. You'll put in all your info there, shipping, billing address, credit card number, and choose your package you prefer. There are ways to save up to 50%, and you can even get 3 free bottles. You don't have to worry about any automatic shipments or subscriptions or any of that stuff, okay? I'm not going to do any of that. I hate that. I've had that happen to me, and I despise it. I will never sign you up for an auto shipment you don't want. You have that promise, okay? And you have my promise that if you don't like our CBD, you can have your money back anytime. It's my CBD lifetime guarantee. Look, I wish I could guarantee that 100% of my clients were going to be 100% satisfied with our CBD, but it just doesn't work that way. We found that it works for about 87% of our clients. You might be in that small minority, but you've got to take the leap to find out. And if it doesn't work, you get your money back anyway. It's that simple. After you click the checkout button on the next page, your order will begin processing right away on our end, and you can expect your package to arrive within about a week. I mail through Priority USPS. I'll also send you an invoice so you can double check your order and you can make any changes before it ships. My customer service queen, Barbara, is available by phone or email to answer your questions too. Plus, there's a surprise bonus that can help you deal with anxiety when you don't have your CBD. That's on the checkout page for more information. When you get your package, I want you to try it right away. The oil has a light mint flavor. Take about 2 to 3 droppers full to start. You should feel something within about a minute. For most people, it starts with a slowing of the breath and the heart rate. You'll probably feel like taking a nice, deep breath. Your queasy stomach will probably fade away. You'll probably start to notice your mind stops buzzing, flitting from thought to thought. You'll notice a calmer, more relaxed mind that you'll be able to focus on one thing. Fear, doubt, and anticipation will slowly fade away. Then you'll probably notice the muscles in your neck, shoulders, and face, where we hold so much tension, start to relax. And you'll probably feel like doing something productive, maybe clean up the house or attack that project you've been putting off. And before you know it, hours may have passed as you just happily worked away. That is the flow state I mentioned earlier, and you'll soon realize just how powerful it is for accomplishing your ultimate goals. And you'll probably notice it helps you sleep. You should get deep, restful sleep, the kind where you wake up in the same position you fell asleep in. And when you're rested, do you think you'll be able to deal with the stresses of everyday life better? Of course you will. So now is the time to take action. You've got to decide if you're going to try something new, or else, let's face it, you might die feeling like this. It's only going to get worse, right? We know now that anxiety really just gets worse as we get older. Life was supposed to get easier as you got older, right? But we just haven't found that to be the case, have we? Look, there's this whole world out here, and it's amazing. But it's missing something. Do you know what that is? It's you. You have a gift, a talent, a personality that the world needs to see, and your friends and family need to see it. They miss you, but they want the happy, relaxed version of you, right? So let's make that happen. So next step, click the button below. And for those of you wondering what happened on that airplane after I blacked out, I'll finish that story on the next page too.